What's up, guys? Sorry it's been a while since I posted up any videos. I've been just busy with both these cars, the Ford OBS and the CRX. Both have been giving me some problems for some weeks now. The CRX right here was having a fuel problem. The fuel pump didn't want to cut on anymore, so I had to go and diagnose all that, figure it all out, figure out why it wasn't clicking on. Did everything basically again in my last video. Went through the fuel relay, the main relay, checked that out, everything was good, checked all of the back. I really didn't have to drop the tank, but I couldn't find nothing wrong with it. So what I ended up doing was dropping the tank again, checking it with the voltmeter, and clicking on the key, seeing if it primes, see if I got voltage to it. Basically didn't get no volts, so kept tracing the line back, and then I finally figured it out at the end that it was the plug. Let me show you right here. It was the plug underneath here that goes from the chassis to the fuel pump. The little connector inside there was actually not making good connection, so fixed that, got that running, took the car around again, went for a little cruise with a friend. Then we went and filled up gas, and he honked at me and was saying, "Hey, you got fuel leaking out of the back of your car." And I was like, "What?" Nah. He's like, "Yep." So we put it back all the way back to the house, and there's a line of gas on the street just coming all the way to the house, and he's saying basically every time I hit the gas or I gave it gas, he would see that the fuel was just gushing out. He's like, it's coming out, man. So that was another problem. Had to bring it back in, drag the car up, drop the tank again. That was already like 3 or 4 times I've already taken that tank down, and see why it was leaking the gas. Basically on that time we had found out it was the return line was cracked. I guess since I'm taking this gas tank in and out so many times, that rubber hose was already old and brittle, and it just kind of fatigued and ripped finally. So that was the last problem on that. Then I got running, driving around, wanted to take some car meets, cruise it around. Everything was going good. I went and bought some parts for the car, just to update some of the stuff on here. And the last thing that happened with it is, well, I got another video for that. It's coming up. But basically what happened was the dipstick tube that the dipstick goes in through basically broke off. So now I just got the part in from Honda to replace that dipstick. So that's be the next thing that I'm going to do on the car, which I'll get y'all guys a video for that when I do it. I should get it pretty soon, so probably like in a week. The next video I do will probably be on the CRX, getting it running. Now on the OBS, I've been fighting this thing for quite some time. When the last time I had drove it, I had towed the CRX on the back, got it here, and after that I noticed the brakes were getting kind of worn, so basically pulled the brakes off. There was no pad left, it was all on the metal. So replaced both brake pads. The guy that I bought this truck from actually had some brand new ones. He's like, "Hey, you need to replace these pads," and I just kind of put it off, and basically now I'm trying to do it. So I went and I did it, and ever since I changed the brake pads, man, I just been having problems. These things are just locked up. You can see the brake pad right there, it's right on the rotor, and these things are hard to move. You have to really yank on them to get them to turn. So the brakes are locked up both sides. So what I had did, let me go to the other side. So what I did was I changed out the front caliper on this side, and then this one is still locked up. So it was fine. I decompressed the piston, everything was fine on it. It was driving fine, but then once, after, whatever, 10 minutes, whatever, you hitting on the brake, it locked back up, and then the rotors get hot, and they're no good no more, basically. So I've been fighting this problem. I've taken them off, put them on a bunch of times, trying to figure out what the problem is, why it's doing it. And I've taken them out, I've repositioned the pads, and it works. Before I put the wheel on, it'll turn free, like just like regular, like it's not compressed. And then as soon as I go and drive it, 5 minutes later, it'll be locked up again. And I really miss driving this truck, and I haven't been driving it for a while since I got in the CRX, just because these brakes have locked up since I've replaced them. So I posted up on the Ford OBS Facebook group, and I kind of figured what it would be before, but you know what I could check on next. But I just want to get their heads up and, you know, see what they thought, just to make sure, you know, we're all on the same page. And basically what they've said is it could be the line, it could be your pins, that they're not lubed up. I mean, the other one's a brand new caliper, so it was pretty, you know, lubed up. But I bought some lithium white grease for them to re-lube them. But they said it could be those two things. The line, the brake line, could be this one right here. Could be this brake line right here. They said that it could have collapsed, and it's basically running like a check valve. Once it pushes through, it's not letting the fluid back into the master cylinder to like release the rotor. Which I kind of thought about that. I have seen some videos. I have seen some videos to check that and see if that's what the cause was. I do have another caliper for this side, another brand new one, so I could swap this out if this is a bad caliper. But I'm starting to think if they're both doing it, and then I already put a new caliper on the other side and it's still doing it, I'm thinking it's probably the lines, or worse, they say it's the master cylinder, that could be seized up too. So I just went ahead and bought brand new lines on it. I bought, like I said, the lithium white grease, so I can spray down the pins. So we're gonna try both that, and we're gonna try to get this thing running smooth again. Because like I said, it's been a while since I've driven it, and I really do need a truck. That's the whole reason I bought it, and I miss cruising the thing, you know. So that's what this video is gonna be about, pretty much. The Ford OBS. We're gonna just try to get it running again and getting these calipers not locked up. Be a good informational video for y'all guys. If it does work, y'all know what to check if this ever happens to y'all guys. So let's go ahead and start taking the calipers off and get into it. Alright, so I got the new line on already. I did take the line off and I tried to compress the caliper, and it did compress and let go of the pressure on the rotor and let it spin more freely, kind of like that. So I do think it is going to be the line, but everyone said to grease up the pins. So I took the pins out. I'm going to grease those up with some white lithium grease. We'll spray those down, put them back in, and we'll just cover that base also, and we'll put it back together and then do the other side. Alright guys, it's the next day. It got kind of late last night, but I did get the brakes bled last night, and it seems like there's not that much drag, if any, on the wheel. I mean, before this thing was locked up, you couldn't even turn the rotor. So I think the brake lines did fix it. I replaced the brake lines already. I also lubed up the slides, which are right here, on both sides. The other side, I went ahead and changed out the caliper, so now there's two new calipers on the front. So nothing left to do but to put the wheels back on, put the lug nuts on, and give it a test ride and see how it does. See if the rotors get hot again, or if we have any drag. So that's what we'll do now. Just before I lower it down, I just want to show you guys how the wheel spins. So that's how it's spinning right now. Like I said, I don't think there's much drag on it anymore. But once we get lower down and drive around, we'll see how it looks.
Several months later.
Well, it's been a long time, guys. Sorry I haven't got this video out sooner. Since that last tip you saw, it's probably been a couple months already. I've been working on these brakes almost every weekend, trying to figure out why these were locked up so much. I mean, I had tried everything. I went even on the Ford, even went on the Ford groups on Facebook and asked them, and they gave me tons of suggestions. I think last on the video we had was I changed out the brake lines. Did that. I went to test drive it. I'm not sure if I got in that video or not. It's been a while, but basically it was still locked up. Just drove it just a mile, and smoke was coming out of the rotors. I mean, it was all still locked up. After that, swapped out both calipers. Still nothing. Then everyone told me to, let me show you. So we got new brake lines, new calipers on each side, still locked up on me. I greased up. They told me to grease up the sliders here with some white lithium. Greased those up. Still was locked up. So I mean, I went through every little thing trying to figure out why this was still locking up on me. Tried that. Then they had said, you know what? It might be your master. So I put me a brand new master on here. Bled the master slave cylinder before I stuck it on there. Bled all the brakes. Still locked up. Then I was like, you know what? Maybe I needed to bleed the. I think it's on this side. Maybe I needed to bleed the. Let's see, where is it at? I thought maybe I need to bleed the ABS unit. Most people said, nah, you don't need to really mess with that. But you know, some people said, yeah, maybe bleed that. So I went and bleed the passenger rear, the driver rear, ABS unit next, passenger front, and then the driver front, and still locked up on me. So with all those, it was still locked up. The last thing I had left to do was, I did hear a hiss when I hit the brake pedal, so I thought maybe it's the brake booster. So went and bought me a whole brand new brake booster. It was all brand new. Went and took this off, replaced it, and still, I thought that was the last thing. I mean, I replaced pretty much the whole brake system, and I've heard people say they replaced everything and it still will lock up on them. So I replaced the booster, put it all together, still locked up. I mean, I was done. I was like, man, I didn't want to look at this truck no more. It's just very frustrating, you know? So it was parked and I just kept messing with it, re-bleeding the brakes. I mean, once you bled the brakes, everything would ride free. Everything would move freely. But then once you drove it and hit the brakes once, they would lock up and that was it. So I would re-bleed them and just, you know, try to figure out stuff I could do here. There was another thing. I mean, I did this early on before I replaced the master. Was they had said, I saw another video, basically saying you could take the master off, and then there's a rod here, the brake booster that pushes this, that engages your brakes. If that is too long, it'll keep your brakes engaged. So what they had said was take these two bolts off, pop the cylinder off that releases the pressure on it, and then if your wheels spin freely, then it's that. And I had done that and they were still locked up, so I was like, okay, can't be that. Well, my last ditch effort was to adjust that rod. When I bought the new brake booster, I had verified from the old one to the new one that the rod was still the same length, right? So all that was all good. I didn't want to touch it. A lot of people say once you buy new ones, you don't touch that, you don't really adjust it. So that was my last ditch effort. So what I did was I gave it one full turn, put everything back together. It helped a little bit, but it was still locked up. So then I came back and I was like, you know what? Do another full turn. So I did 2 full turns, which ended up being bottoming it out. The nut, the little acorn nut to adjust the throat, it bottomed out all the way. Bottomed it out all the way, and I put everything back, and that's exactly what it was, I guess. I mean, it's probably not the right way to fix it or whatever. I mean, they said that there's supposed to be a tolerance. I know for sure it's not supposed to be back down all the way, tightened. But once I did that, once I put that on there and tightened it up, man, the brakes freed, the motor, the truck moved easier. It wasn't just like you're right on the brakes the whole time. So let me go and pull this off, and I'll show y'all guys the rod in case y'all don't know what it is or how to adjust it. Let me show y'all what I did just to fix it, because I mean, you might be having this problem and I just want to make sure I got this video out. I was gonna release the video without figuring out a solution, just because I wanted to get some content up, but I just felt like, you know what, I need to figure out what it is and put a whole video out and then make sure that, you know, I had a solution. Because you just find it and then he's like, oh yeah, well, this guy didn't find a solution. You wasted a whole bunch of time just watching the whole video because there was nothing done. You know, all he did was replace everything. So basically I wanted to make sure I found a solution. That's why I've been holding out. That's why I haven't had any content for a while. I've been working on this Ford truck. So let me get the tools real quick. I'll take this off and I'll show you guys how I fixed it, okay? Alright, so here's the master cylinder. I just took the 2 bolts off. All you do is slide it out right there. You don't need to take any of your hydraulic lines off. So this right here, let me see if I can move this out of the way just a little bit. So this right here, this little acorn, is the bolt that I adjusted. What you do is you just grab a wrench on this side, on the little teeth, and then you get your socket or your adjustable wrench, and you just go right here and tighten this down. And basically, like I said, just tighten it down 2 full turns, which is pretty much bottomed out on it. And again, this rod is the throw. It'll hit your diaphragm in here and put the fluid in your brake, so that way it'll clamp. So once you get that done, adjust that. You could try 1 turn and see if that works. You could try 2 turns. That's what really worked for me. I could probably back it out a half a turn back, but right now it feels good. The pedal feels great. There's no problem really. So, you know, it gives it enough release that the brakes don't engage all the time until you hit the brake. So once you get that, put that back, put your 2 bolts back right here. And once you tighten that down, that's it. I hope this helped y'all guys. I mean, there's a lot of trial and error on this to get this working, get this right. You know, this worked for me. Like I said, the pedal feels the same. You know, it doesn't feel like it's on the floor or anything like that. I didn't really adjusted it all the way down, but it's not enough throw where your pedals, you know, not engaging at all. So that's what helped me. That's what got me going. I tested it. It ran fine. No heating up. I went further. It kept driving further and kept pulling over. I drove it a little bit further. No heating up. Everything was still cool to the touch. It wasn't, you know, like it was where you just drive it a mile. The rotors are hot. You know, everything was smoking. Things like that. I've already taken this on a full trip. I went over to the beach a couple weeks ago and drove. Let's see, total was 160 miles total, and no problems. I got there at the beach, checked the calipers, checked the rotors, see if they're hot, see if there's any smell. Nothing. I mean, this is what the solution was for me. You know, I'm glad I found it. It took a while. I probably didn't need to replace any of the stuff really. I didn't probably need to replace the booster, the master, the calipers, the lines, any of that. But you know what? If there ain't anything else with the brakes, you know, I know it can't be any of those, because those are all brand new lines, a brand new master and everything. So the brakes should be good for a while. But yeah, that's it, y'all guys. Give this video a like, a share, comment if this helped y'all guys out, and we'll see y'all guys on the next video. All right, later.